kind of finished going through the OCS for all of my 31 folks and thought through what I need to be prioritizing moving forward in these last 3 months of school. And so really determined from that my biggest outcome gap is my 2010 SIG and solid movers, which been pretty much stagnant for a while. And so that's where my largest gap is. I have a 8 core member gap for SIG, a 7 core member gap for solid, and so I've determined that the cause behind that is that I haven't really been having aligned, prioritized actions weekly to address that. So that's what my lovely manager here is helping me with today. To figure out how to make sure moving forward that the majority of my actions are aligned to addressing this specific gap. And so what we're going to start with is a dive into Mary Conroy. She's a 2010 second grade teacher. She actually teaches at the same school as Kevin.
Oh, word?
Yeah.
So did I see her
I don't.
when we went there, or no? You don't remember?
I mean, we passed her. I don't think we saw her.
Okay.
We passed her classroom. I think we might have said hello, but
Okay.
that's about it.
So she's what? She's what grade?
Second grade.
Second grade. Okay.
And so she was one of my first progress note people.
Okay.
And so you'll see, this is like actually, I think this is updated math data, so I actually think that she might be a move. This is, oh no, this is not updated, this is not updated. Oh, that's fine. So yeah, that's gonna be immediate action that I need to take, is to make sure that I get the most up-to-date information. I do have our most updated DRA, so you guys have that. And we also have her math tracker, and you have a document called Mary Conroy Gold Feedback, so you can ignore my feedback. This is from way back when I was giving initial feedback on her goals, so ignore the purple there, and we'll just look at that.
Okay. And one thing I sent you for today, I sent you an example of how Lauren sort of prepares to think about like defining the specific change that she wants to have for her core members, and then getting like in the whole preparing herself bucket, she thinks about like, what is the change that has to happen for this teacher, for their students? What does that mean I'm going to have to change my practice? What kind of skill building do I think is probably going to have to happen for this core member? And then when she starts to take action, she has like a timeline for how this stuff plays out. It might be helpful to sort of use her like organizing framework in this process, because I think it was really helpful. So I'm just going to pull up a copy of that as we're talking through.
Yeah, the thing that I noticed about that, and then if you noticed what was in my my initial thoughts for this week in like the priorities section of the action plan, was that a lot of it was information gathering, because a lot of these folks I haven't seen in a while.
Okay.
And so I think that Lauren's document is really great, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to achieve that level of specificity in terms of like change without having like newer or the newest context for exactly what's going on, if that makes sense. Okay. So, but that's not for all the folks that I prioritize, but for like Nate, Nikki, and Mary, like I want to get fresh context for what's going on, so I plan to like go in and get that snapshot, like talk to their students, see what's going on, and getting their most up-to-date information. Okay. But yeah, I really like her thought process that she used there, so I'll pull that up too.
Okay. And one thing that I'm thinking, like I think it's going to be helpful as we talk through a specific core member and think about like how you're preparing yourself, what actions you're taking, and then like how you're going to be monitoring progress and adjusting course. It's more helpful when we practice this process with a core member that you have like as much relevant context for. So if you have another core member that we should talk to, maybe we should use that person. But if not, let's talk through Mary, since she is a mover. But that just means that we're going to be surfacing more questions as opposed to like, here's a concrete, definite theory of like specific actions we're going to take. And I'm fine with doing that if that's where we need to go. But I want to make sure you you understand like the difference in how we're gonna approach this. If we were looking at a board member that you were like, I have a lot more context and I can actually dig into thinking about how I'm gonna prepare myself, prepare this core member, take specific actions, think about the change and all that good stuff, it might be better to use another example.
Okay, so with that in mind, maybe we can just do Ashley Alden?
Okay.
Not to change course like midway when we're just getting started on the process and it's.
No, I mean, I think I wanna make sure it's useful for you though, that's
I
what
mean,
I'm saying. We can do Mary as well, it doesn't matter. I just wanna make sure that you understand there's gonna be a difference in how we're talking about these two people because we know more information for Ashley versus a Mary.
I do feel like I have enough information about Mary though.
Okay.
Actually.
Okay.
I'm thinking about it because I have been to the classroom several times and we've conversed and I know like she shared me like her subset of kids and yeah, I think we can talk about Mary.
Okay, cool. Okay, so let's start in this, I'm looking for like a blank piece of paper. Start drawing on my little diagrams. Okay, let's start like in the sort of prepare yourself part. If you're thinking about where Mary is right now and what Mary needs, and so we're gonna use probably.
Sorry, go ahead. I'm just gonna forward you her most up-to-date. I just realized that you and Rebecca don't have her most up-to-date math. So keep talking. You guys are gonna get about 30 seconds.
Okay. So taking what you know about Mary and her classroom, like what's going on in math, what's going on in literacy, like what is the thing that has to change in her for her students right now? What's the thing that has to change in her practice?
So if I'm looking at like the total TAL leadership, like, I mean, she's solid. I mean, she's firmly solid, and I mean, and that's fantastic. I mean, she's consistently using data. She's really good at like the CIE process on her own. You know, she seeks out opportunities to grow. I mean, she's very reflective of her own process. So I think that's like a really key skill that she has attained or grown in. Actually, I feel like she kind of came in with it because like she was like my first 2010 Progress Known person, and she's really good in the planning process. In terms of the big picture TAL, and the thing that's missing is that internalization of her kids, of like those long-term traits, like, and there's some pretty significant cultural things that are happening in her classroom.
Say more. What do you mean by that?
I mean, there's breaches in culture that are not consistently responded to, like kids, like literally, like calling each other names, not supporting each other, kind of thing. She's had some behavioral challenges. So, and that's something that she's also self-identified as like an area that she wanted to improve in. And so in thinking about like big picture TAL, just getting the vision piece across about things that she wanted for her kids. And I know that looking at her vision, I think that the things she has, you know, self-awareness, citizens of the world, confidence, I think that's really necessary to address those things that are happening, because I don't think she's gonna realize that component of her vision with the culture in her class being at the level that it's at.
To what degree are we seeing these pieces, so like confident citizens of the world, she has pretty lengthy definitions of what she wants it to look like. Self-awareness, to what degree are we seeing that play out in her classroom?
Oh.
And does she know specific students where this is a trend, or is this like a whole class thing?
I mean, she knows specific students. Like in our conversation, she pulls out like the group of about 4 boys in her classroom who consistently are struggling to meet like her goals for them in terms of like characterization. Quality character traits.